Good morning. This is Angela with today's cup of tea. So you might ask, where do we go from here? There's so much to talk about, and there's still so much to consider, and we have so much going on, and there's so many changes going on around us, from the energetic level to spiritual level, the socioeconomic, physical, geographical, everything. There's so much going on at so many different levels, all at once, that there are times when it's getting more and more chaotic, and many people find it challenging to focus on what the big picture is. And now we're coming into this mass awakening. We've started, and so many people are awakening. So when I do presentations and when I work with clients, I talk to friends, I get this question all the time, which is, how do you tell what's awakening, and what are the symptoms, or what are the symptoms? How would I know? So everybody's got a different way of awakening, and what awakening is, we've gone through this existence. We've been here, done this. We've done a great job at, as would be expected. We decided we wanted to experience what it felt like to pretend we were separate, to pretend we were disempowered, to pretend that we were not part of the divine and that others had to give us our power. And we've done this to an awesome degree, and now we're done with it. We're ready to pull off the Band-Aid. So what's happening is we have purposely forgotten, we've let ourselves forget that we are the divinity, that how powerful we are, that we're all connected, that we're all one, and how powerful that is just in itself. So awakening is awakening to who we really are. We're awakening to the divinity within us. And so what's happening is that that's coming in from the spiritual level to the physical, to what we have right now is the 3D physical level. And in doing so, you have a lot of bodily symptoms. You often have bodily symptoms, but you also have a change in perspective, a change in what you see and what you hear and what you understand. It's like your higher self starts channeling in and connecting consciously with your active 3D self. And in doing so, it's a very individual experience. My personal experience was that I had a full Kundalini opening in 2009 and didn't know what that was at the time. Now, I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what it really was. And my entire body was vibrating. I felt like I'd fallen open like a book. I could hear voices. I could feel other beings in the room with me. And I understood things. I could see things from such a broader standpoint. And I understood feelings, and I could hear thoughts. And I thought I was going schizophrenic. So, and I had already sort of been open-minded to this kind of stuff, even though like I'd had all these accumulative abilities and uncover themselves over the years. It was just sort of like parlor tricks, parlor games kind of thing, and it was fun, and that was it. And when this happened, it scared me. So I know it scares a lot of people, and I know it scares even more people who are not already open to this, who have debunked a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of what they call woo-woo stuff, as woo-woo. And it's happening whether you think that or not. And that's an egoic thing. That's what you've been taught. That's what others have taught you in one way or another, what your ego has convinced you in one way or the other, and how it's served you in some way. So what happens when you start to awaken is some people do it gradually, and it's one step at a time. Their intuition gets stronger. They can understand the bigger picture very easily. They can connect with people really easily. Things like that just start falling into place. Now, like I said, I started out having it a gradual, and then it just sort of spiked. And I always call it like the uptick in the exponential curve, like in mathematics. And so, and more, I understand that's sort of happening to a lot of people, and so it might be scary. So if you are suddenly having these odd symptoms, your body feels like it's vibrating, you are having these really vivid dreams where you feel like they're real, there's a good chance that you are simply just hopping into another dimension, another reality. And I was having that too, because they have a different consistency than dreams, but then dreams are another reality as well. So it's just sort of changing your perspective. It's widening your focus to what I call the expanded universe. And you're not going crazy most of the time. But part of what I've devoted myself to doing is helping people in the process of awakening. Because I know how important it was for me to have somebody, and it was fortunate that I had it set up, that I had the right people in my life, even though I didn't know at the time, to help me through and help me sort of start channeling that energy and starting to be able to control it and understand it, instead of being afraid of it and fighting it. Because when you get afraid of it and you fight it, it's just going to push its way through eventually. You can suppress it for a while, and I think that's sort of part of what I did. And then what happens is it's sort of like lava, and then it just erupts. This is what we're all doing. We're all coming through to this because we're ready to evolve to our next existence, to what I call Earth 2.0. And Earth is being reborn in many ways. I'm sure you've heard that. We are expanding our consciousness to accept things that might not have before been accepted in our day-to-day reality. Seriously, there are times when I see what I write in my journal, or hear myself talk, and I say, wow. And I talk about this as plainly as I talk about what I'm having for dinner tonight, because it has become part of my reality. And because it's different does not mean it's not reality. It's just an expanded reality, because we've been so tunnel visioned for so long, and we chose to do that. We chose to do that in our form in the 3D world. We chose to limit ourselves. We chose to have that experience. And we're done with that. And we're ready to come back to this connectedness, this connection. And it's such a joyous thing, and it's so awesome when you can accept it and start assimilating it into where you are in your 3D world, and then you expand that out into what's coming in from the expanded universe and the higher self, that your higher self. Which is why I talk all the time about what's key to all of these changes, to everything going on around us, is having that clear connection to your higher self. Because if you can do that, no matter what happens to you, no matter how your body reacts to your awakening, and you might not have a big, what I call my grand awakening, you might not have a big event that it just sort of happens. It might, like I said, it could be gradual, but many people, I understand, will be doing this in one big event, and some of them even bigger than how I went through it. So the key is coming back to the basics. The key is tapping into your higher self. And whether you spend 5 minutes a day just quieting the chatter, or telling the ego, I love you, thank you for doing your job, but just shh, shh, with love and tenderness. And listen to what comes from your heart. Listen to what comes to your higher self. That's the first step in assimilating. That's the first step in the best way, the easiest, I'm not going to say the best, the easiest and most graceful way for you to assimilate as you are opening up to your higher self. There are so many different ways you can do that. You can just sit and sort of clear your mind and take some deep breaths. Focus on your heart. Focus on your heart beating. And as you do that, you can ask yourself questions. If something works for you, if something is for your highest and best good, those are the kind of things that you would be focused on. And if you start getting this chatter in your mind, you can just tap on your heart to keep your focus there. And then you can say no thank you to the ego, and say no thank you, I'm listening to the higher self right now. And you'll be surprised how quickly that'll work. I mean, that's just a really simple exercise. Other things to do is you can just breathe. You can just focus on your bodily functions. I started finding really, really great moments of meditation at the end of yoga, because we'd be in Shavasana and I would just float away, and I got so many insights from that, and I didn't even realize that was meditation. Sometimes, like I've been telling people, When you go up to a mountain, like, hiking, if you go biking or running, that can clear your mind. And finding somebody who can understand you and listen to you without judgment and with full acceptance, that is really important, because there is no judgment except for that which we put on ourselves, and what other people think is none of their business. But it really helps to find somebody who you feel akin to, and that you can understand each other, because I found I had those people in my life, and like I said, I didn't know it, and it was just a godsend. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can always email me at acolter@roadtoawakening.net. You can find me on Facebook. But I want you to really start paying attention. And if you are having these awakening symptoms, it's okay. It's going to be all right. Have a good one. This is Angela with a Cup of Tea.